All right. And good morning, everybody. Welcome to Rise and Shine, Creating 2020 Vision. Today is day 25 of our series and conversation number 5 on emotions. And I have with me today, again, we have self-care coach Kristie McKinley back with us. Welcome, Kristie.
Hello. Thank you. Good morning.
Yes, good morning. Well, and I know I say morning because it's morning where I am, but it's, of course, already noontime,
It's
right?
Begun.
Yeah. Just begun. I love that.
Yes.
Well, you know what? So it is so awesome that you were back with us because this is such a fitting conversation for a self-care coach, I think. Mm-hmm. And so, Kristie, I'm going to go ahead and just share with everyone again who you are, share a little bit about your background and what you do, and then we will get into it. So for all those just getting to meet Kristie McKinley for the very first time, Kristie McKinley is a self-care coach for heart-centered business owners, as well as a Reiki master teacher. And you can learn more about her work by going to mckinleycoaching.com, and that's MCKINLEY coaching.com. How are you doing on this fine Mercury retrograde morning, Kristie?
Oh, navigating the waves like the same as the rest of us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It's interesting how everything's always in flow and in motion, and when things shift, and then it's like we learn how to like dance with that and be in the flow with it. And I don't know. It also feels like it could play into today's conversation almost. So
yes. Yeah, I think so.
What comes up for you as a self-care coach working with people who are learning to, care for themselves better and all of that? What do you notice about I just want to first, have you share a little bit more about what you do. And so, what do you notice about your clients and learning to be in flow while also being aligned and in balance? Like, what do you notice about that journey? What comes up for you when I just kind of bring that up?
I think one of the things that kind of comes to mind is like the powerful shift in awareness, just realizing that there's a whole other possibility to their emotions. And, because a lot of the times we kind of sit in like grief and shame and guilt, and we kind of stay there. And sometimes if we're not in a good space or have those good tools to help us kind of lift ourselves up emotionally to see a bigger picture, it can go off the rails, comes to mind. And so you awareness is so powerful. It's like, oh, yeah. And it can be a simple, gentle shift. But I think our old story kind of wants to keep us safe and says, oh no, don't go there because you might get hurt. Well, there's a lot of beauty in awareness. If you've done the work, it's not as painful as it could be if you haven't tried. You haven't wanting to be willing to become aware and become accountable and just step fully into your power and take personal responsibility. It's really not that bad. Sometimes it just feels kind of gross. But if you can just realize on the other side of all that is like you're happier and you're healthier because you are just you're feeling yourself. I think it just works out overall. It's just we do such a great job of keeping ourselves safe. Sometimes it's kind of to our detriment, and just trying to be in that flow of just figuring out, oh, okay, we're going to consider that idea. I'm not really feeling it for that, and being okay with that and being able to communicate with that with others.
I love that. I think that's such a great point, that when other things around us are shifting, there can be this inclination to go, oh, wait, no, I'm safest here in this box with these parameters around me.
Yeah.
And the more that we can loosen that and be in flow with it's just things shifting, right? So so for those who are with us, we're kind of coming from, we started off even before we showed up on today's show, we just a little bit about the planets are changing and shifting and a lot going on there, right? And how does a human get impacted by that, and being in flow with even that, having that awareness. And so, so I think that's a really good point about just, learning how to be in flow so that you can also remain in balance.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So hello and welcome to everyone who is with us live or on the replay. Let us know, where you are connecting with us from. And if you have any questions, again, live or on the replay, let us know what your questions or ahas are throughout this conversation. Last time Kristie was here, we talked about mindset, right? Mm-hmm. So, and That was such a fantastic conversation, Kristie. So I'm really glad that you're here now to help us go even deeper with the emotions aspect of it. And what has been your personal experience with just learning how to navigate your own emotions? Will you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think being more present, has helped a great deal. I know just from my own story, being present wasn't really the most ideal things. But again, I'm healing that part of myself that was trying really hard to keep me safe. So kind of recognizing, oh, okay, that was a distraction. And that kept me safe then. It's a good idea for me to form this energy into something that helps my now.
Oh, that is so good.
So, and just having those little ahas, like, oh, wow. And just having that, and just kind of celebrating in that moment versus kind of going off to the next thing and, kind of fully going full circle of the hero's journey, and I had a mentor point that I'm like, oh, I don't do that. I don't celebrate that part of myself. I'm like, okay. And just doing little small things like experimentation, like wanting to keep busy and kind of where is that coming from and that place and being okay with the parts where it doesn't feel nurturing and healthy and we're just going to shift. I'm going to still be creative. It's just I'm going slower about it. And I think that's another reoccurring theme for this year is like the power and the pause with this year when it has slowed down, like really be grateful for that because that is such, it's a beautiful experience on top of all the other things you get with it. And
it's a gift.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So 2 things you just said. I love that you were talking about, of course, the awareness about what am I feeling, what's going on, but then using it to your benefit and transforming it into into that next thing. But then also the celebration aspect. I want to kind of get back to that in a moment.
Oh yeah.
Quick hello to Sherry, who's with us.
Hello.
Awesome to see you, Sherry. And so let's just, for a moment, let's look at that transforming emotions versus, let's say someone's feeling anxiety or grief or just, one of those emotions. And, we feel that, we can look at that and go, oh yeah, I don't like this space. And then if we remember, oh, what if I were to transform this? What could that look like? Like, how say a little bit more about transforming emotions into something more useful?
It feels empowering because you are taking that conscious effort to make that shift and in your awareness that, it ramps up the momentum of like, oh, I'm empowered to make a choice. Do I stay on this path? Or do I do I take some deep belly breaths because that's a simple, quick, immediate thing to do? Can I engage my senses? I think one of the last times I started to have a panic attack, I was like, okay, let's engage my senses. Let's take some belly breaths. Let's, all the things. And it didn't take very long to for my defense system to cycle back down. And so it's just.
And that's the journey of transforming.
Exactly. Just getting that flywheel going it's like it's easier for you to tap into your higher self and it's easier to make those decisions, those choices.
Yeah. I love that, right? We can use words like transform, transmute, which sounds awesome and big. And then how do the heck I do that? And it can be as simple as coming down to your breath and being in tune and present with what that experience is like. So I love that. Thank you for sharing that. That's so good.
No problem. Yeah. Movement, breath work, all the things, journaling, coloring, anything that you can just tap into. I have 2 coloring books and markers and crayons. And it's lovely. It's just kind of a way to just shift gears and just change pace, just to free up your brain. Hey, let's go over here and notice this. Okay. And then it's a beautiful, healthy thing.
And the more you practice that, it gets to be easier to make those shifts more quickly over time.
Yes.
That's awesome. So, so let's look at the celebration aspect. And it's I feel something in my eye, by the way. So I just kind of feeling like I need to do that. Sorry.
No problem. It's all good.
Need to give my eyeball some time on the show, I guess. Something's going on. I'm trying to ignore it. Okay. So Kristie, let's talk about the celebration. So say a little bit more about that. Where does that come into play for a person when they're in their emotions and dealing with that? Is that in the celebration of being able to transform them?
I kind of think of it because I think what kind of came to mind for me was just not non-attachment, like just kind of owning it in that moment, intensifying the being presentness of that moment, and then just kind of like impermanence, just not being attached to it, like just enjoy it in its beauty in that moment, because it'll come back around.
Right.
Whether you up level in your business, you have like a deep, loving, meaningful next level communication with someone close in your life, where you reach out to someone in collaboration. I mean, there's always something to circle back around and celebrate. So why hang on to it necessarily? I mean, huge things like you see one graduate or a rite of passage of some sort, those things are good to hang on to. But if you know it's going to come back around and you have faith and trust and that's going to happen, then just hey, this is awesome. I'll see this next victory later in another form. And like, ooh, what's that next victory going to be? And it just gets fun, and just looking forward to that possibility of just, when you are in those places where you're kind of low vibrating, not where you feel like being, but it's just a process and a journey, then it's easier for you. Oh, I have all these examples because I've been practicing this for so long. So, yeah.
And I say, every time you experience yourself doing something differently and you did it, it might be something super subtle that no one else around you would ever even notice, right?
Yeah.
You just like that was huge for you. Like, oh, those are celebratory moments.
Yes, they are. They're so awesome. Oh my God.
like I'm just gonna come up with a few examples. Like maybe you just simply remember, oh wait, I'm feeling one thing. I could actually choose to feel something different. Oh my God. Like even just that, could be a celebratory moment. And then taking the time to go, okay, wait, what am I supposed to do? Okay, I could just kind of breathe. Taking the time to breathe, like,
yeah.
Nothing's too small to celebrate.
Oh yeah, no, I loaded the dishwasher definitely on purpose the other day. So like I realized I was.
Oh no! It paused. It froze.
And end like nothing, and I did. I was like, oh, okay. Well, that wasn't.
You know what, Kristie? It kind of froze on you, but I think we got the gist. You did something with the dishwasher?
Yeah, I just loaded it completely different, because I noticed I was aware of how rigid I was in loading the dishwasher, and so I was like, the house. I mean, nothing terrible is going to happen if I load this dishwasher a different way. And now I just load it kind of willy-nilly. I mean, I still get stuff in there, but I mean,
Kristie, I so applaud you for that. I have, that's been a thing for me too, is going, wait a second. No, it doesn't have to be this one way.
Yeah, exactly.
That is so, you're loosening those reins, you're lowering that wall.
Yeah.
That's so good. I love that. Okay, so let's get into, let's see here. I think for today's conversation, for those who just joined us, Kristie is back for the second time on Rise and Shine. I'm so excited that she's here because she brings such depth to her conversations, as you can already tell. And you do, Kristie, yes. And so I always ask, what's an empowering quote you'd like to share with our audience? And she has a new quote for us. So this quote is, emotions are the barometer which forecasts the weather of the soul. And that is a Shazard quote. I love that quote, Kristie. I'm going to say it again. Emotions are the barometer which forecasts the weather of the soul. Will you elaborate on that?
Up until I sent you the pictures, I was like, what in the world am I going to talk about? I just, and then I was sitting there meditating, laying on it. I was like, oh, I got it. And then so I started to put the images together. And I had it was so funny because I was picking pictures. And I was getting really excited because I finally have an idea. Oh my God. And I'm really present to feeling this emotion. And then I was trying to do the one graphic with the dot in the center with the arrows going out. And then I had a bear of a time trying to save that thing, trying to create it. And I was like, okay, I'm feeling frustration. And then I was giggling at myself again. Because I was like, yay, I got it saved and I know where to find it to send it to her. So I just figured the center is kind of us. And when emotionally, when we when we expand our energy to kind of call in the things that we are attracting to ourselves, it can kind of feel like that. You can get like rage, happiness, abundance, passion, all the things. And it's just when you notice how far out and how your energy is fluctuating, and it doesn't have, like, since we're like round beings, like round energy beings, like not just, like squares and things,
Right.
it just flows over. And you can kind of, I know when I've been paying attention, if it's like lumpy, or there's a dent, it's like, oh, what's that about? And it gives you an opportunity to like ask and question yourself. So this energy is moving out. And then it also, I've noticed that it affects on your energy. Like if you're depressed or if you're just vibrating joy, that can kind of affect things. And my aha around that is, I think when you have a lot of different all your influences affect if it's lumpy or if there's dents or things like that versus nice, smooth contour shape. So yeah, what were you about to say?
No, I love that you're talking in those terms. I just want to say for those who have just joined us that Kristie is a Reiki master teacher. And so I take it you're speaking from the Reiki perspective because I know.
Yes.
Yeah. So for those that don't know, when you're working with a client, you kind of sense where the energy is. And so if this is the client's body and she's sensing, oh, the energy's up here and but over here it's down here. Is that kind of what you're referring to about?
Yeah. And then temperature, in person sessions, like temperature is a factor as well. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. No, I love this visual because it's showing the heart, the person in the center, and all the different emotions, different colors can be going in different directions. And but the one thing I would say is that I love that there's a circle around it just to give us that visual, and yet our energy doesn't necessarily stop at a circle. It can.
Oh yeah, no.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's like with the chakras, they don't like, this is the root and this is sacral. And it's like a hard to find border. They intercommingle. And I mean, stuff with the root affects your throat. I mean, it's interconnected. And when your energy is off, it's like all the other energy points overcompensate. And in the short term, it's okay, depending. But over, a long period of time, if you don't, kind of check in with yourself for the awareness, kind of get your inner guidance system to figure out what your next steps would be and how to address that. It burn out, literally, energetically, spiritually. It, spills over into your finances, your relationships with others, and all the things. And it's just good to just, if nothing else, if no other takeaway, just awareness. Awareness is key, because then you can make a choice and just be okay with your choice. I think that's another thing as well, is being okay with the choice that you make, and then just realizing you can always, oftentimes you can always make adjustments.
Right. I think it's also really helpful for a person to know what emotions and, colors and experiences and things like that, like which chakras speak to each of those experiences, because then it gives you, it's like, oh, I can do something about this. Right. Mm-hmm. Like if you're feeling, fear, or feeling like, I'm not being heard. Right. Then we can go, oh, maybe some throat chakra work would help, or some root chakra work, or, things that speak to each of those parts of the energy centers, it just, I don't know, it can help empower a person. That's what comes to mind for me.
Oh, yes, definitely. And I think that's kind of like when I would do in-person sessions, starting at the crown, even though like in my coaching, I start at the root. It's just because lots of times I think in person, you're just kind of so in your head. Yeah. And so sometimes it's good to go ahead and start there. So by the time you get to the throat and the heart, and by the time you get to your root, then the noise is not, it almost feels like it's non-existent, it seems, in a sense. And then usually when I do in person, either distance Reiki or my coaching sessions, it just kind of energetically kind of addressed, but it always tends to be lower chakra stuff. Yeah. So that it's easier as a session goes along, or like multiple sessions, it's easier for the, a client to like kind of communicate like, oh, since our last session, this kind of came up, and then being able to work with the energy around that, so that when the layers come up, like, oh, okay. And then it's still powerful transformation. It's just gentler and works. It's like it's direct communication with you in your spirit.
And it makes me think too of like the Wheel of Life exercise. I don't know. This might be. You're familiar with the Wheel of Life exercise? Like when you check in to I don't mean to be going off on a tangent. It's kind of like the image that you had here, but it's like different areas of your life, and then you indicate, the relationship side of my life, I'm feeling like a 3, but maybe my professional life, I'm feeling like an 8, right?
Yeah.
And like different areas of your life, your spirituality is maybe a 5, and when you connect all the dots, it's like, oh, my wheel of life is pretty bumpy, and it can be like, I don't know. That's what I'm hearing as you. Speak about that.
Oh yeah, that's a great point, because that makes sense. Yeah.
Right. And then to I don't know, I'm just in terms of bumpiness, I don't know, that's what's coming to mind.
I mean, I get what you're saying. Yeah. I feel like
so then you work on those areas of your life for a smoother ride, a balanced experience. Yeah. Okay. So let's go ahead and throw up. We've got one more image on the screen here, and this is a fantastic one. This is, let's see here. That's a little easier for people to see. So we've got here the emotional guidance scale. And what's fantastic about this particular one, I've also got one on my website that's a free download, but this one's fantastic because it has that spiral effect, momentum. So say something, go ahead. And what did you want to share about this?
I think one of the things I wanted to share was like, it kind of reminded me of the Abraham Hicks video that I watched when Abraham was sharing about, okay, if you're right here and you're really trying to just, work your way up slowly through the scale. So and for me, it's just doing that so I don't sabotage myself. Like I'm aiming for like outrageous joy. But if I'm depressed, it's going to take a little bit of time to get there, and honoring that part of the journey, like, this too shall pass. And I think for me, that when I say that out loud to myself, it's even when it's an imperceptible shift, it's still a shift. And it's still a verbal willingness to myself to say, I'm willing to rise up higher than where I am right now, but I'm going to still honor where I am right now.
Absolutely. And I love that you brought that up. So if you're in a lower, heavier space, so I think it looks really small on my end, but I believe the left side is the more positive, higher vibration emotions. The right side is the more lower vibration emotions. So if you're at the bottom of, say, the right side of the scale, doesn't mean you can't reach the top of the left. It's just saying it's going to take you some time, because notice how the bottom of the spiral is the widest. Right? That's where like the most momentum is. And so as you start to slow that down while you work your way up the scale, you're still like in that momentum, but you're decreasing. You're still in that energy, but you're decreasing the momentum. So yeah, fantastic. Well, and tools like this are fantastic for someone when they're just getting in tune with their emotions, looking at something like this and being able to just simply identify, okay, where am I right now? And what is this telling me? Oh, wow. Like I'm actually only 2 emotions away from something that's a higher vibration. I mean.
Yeah. And another thing if you can if you're willing to be a really good example for someone, if you're like willing to share your story, what comes to mind, like when people have, in AA, they have, oh gosh, I'm so sorry. I just completely blanked on. They have like a person that can call partner. No,
a sponsor.
Thank you, a sponsor. Oh my gosh, I was just completely gone from my brain. Just because that person has been through the program, they've been through their journey, and they can be like an actual if I can do it, you can do it. I just that support. Just saying, I've been low vibrating, and just being open and honest. So again, it diminishes that guilt and shame that kind of perpetuates that destructive. Negative stuff that sends you into that spiral that brings you down. And so that's where, for the longest time, I struggled with this work just because I wasn't willing to do that. And then just my aha was that, being a beacon of light, so I can be a beacon of light for someone else, and just staying in that space. And it's okay, because I'm just a spiritual being in this squishy body, and it's all good. So
absolutely. And just like supporting others and sharing our stories, I mean, that right there is, those are examples of the light coming through. I mean, it makes such a huge difference. Yeah, I know I kind of lost what I was going to say there.
Oh no, it's all good. And just honoring your journey wherever it goes.
Kristie, I'm going to go ahead and pull some cards, and I would love if you would help me with that. But while I just do some simple shuffling. Well, real quick, I just saw another comment come through. So let's see here. Sherry is saying support is so important. I believe that we all don't have enough support in our spiritual journeys. Yeah. And that's one of the things that really helps. Sherry, thank you for sharing that with us.
Yes,
and that's one of those things that, helps. It's like when it feels like our external support system goes away, then I know for me, for my own personal journey, it's been, okay, well, wait a second. In what way am I supporting myself? Like, how can I be more of a support for myself? How can I love myself more? Because if it all starts with me, then everyone else is just a reflection of me. I'm not speaking to you, Sherry, by the way. I'm just sharing my own personal experience. So that's one of the things that's been helpful and yet frustrating, I've found, when it comes to support is going, oh, wait a second. Am I don't know. Does anything come up for you, Kristie, when I just kind of say that? When you think about support?
I guess I think about support in like active listening and just asking questions that sometimes like when someone says that they're helping you, it's really to kind of help them be comfortable, so it's like there's a lot of people I love in my life, but a lot of those people I would not ask for advice. Okay. So it's just, I think that it depends on like the person that holds space for you knows that you're trying to do the work for yourself, especially if you've done the best you can communicating that to them, like I'm trying to do the best I can. They're aware of the work that you're doing on yourself. Those are the kind of people that you're like, hey, I have this, this going on, I'm feeling this. What do you think? Just to get an outside perspective. I have like a really, like short list of people that I can, just because they've known me for a really long time. I've communicated my journey with them. And they've supported me in my ugly snot crying moments, it's still like are my friends and stuff. So just and one friend's really, really good, really powerful in this sort of holding space. And this friend is really good about this type of holding space. So again, just like I can feel comfortable with my crew. And so, oh gosh, it's so just follow your heart. The ones that love you the most, if they're meant to connect with you and share something that creates a shift for you, honor that.
Yeah. Okay. So while you were speaking, I actually was shuffling the self-love deck and like 3 cards popped out. So I'm going to let those be, but I would love if you would help me now I'm going to pull a card from the self-care deck. Mm-hmm. And so will you go ahead and tell me when to stop, and the card that's on top will be the one that will pull.
Stop.
They're getting all crazy here. Okay. Well, on that note, we have connection.
Yay.
And so the back of it says, connect with someone special. A loved one is a gift to treasure. And the self-love cards that were just popping out are, I let my light shine. And the back of it says, I am wonderful. I rejoice in the truth of my being. I accept it as so and let it be. And we have here, I say yes to opportunity and abundance. And the back says, I attract prosperity with ease. I constantly receive incredible gifts from life. And the last one here, and I might pull another one, is I affirm only the good in life. And if Sherry is still with us, we're about to go do this on a group call in just a moment. Affirm only the good in life. The back says, I am in harmony with all that surrounds me. I am at peace. Yes, yes, yes. Anything come up for you as I shared these cards, Kristie?
It's made me feel good listening to, like we read them like, oh, that feels awesome. Oh gosh, it's just a good way to just, start off the rest of the week, just it's Monday and starting off really, really well with like good words.
It makes a difference. It really does.
Yes.
What are those words that we're telling ourselves? What are we focusing our attention on? And yeah, so I'd like to pull one more self-love card, and I would love if you would help me with this one as well. So, okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and shuffle, and you tell me when to stop.
Stop.
Okay. So what's on top here? I am centered in truth and peace.
Cool. Awesome.
The back says, the universe is one of great order and peacefulness, and I reflect this in every moment of my life. And that just brings me back to that visual of we are at the center of everything going on. Kristie, will you tell everyone where can they go to connect with you after today's conversation?
Okay, you can reach out to me at mckinleycoaching.com. I am also on Facebook at McKinley Coaching. And I just thank you. I appreciate this.
I appreciate you being here and adding to the conversation. I love what comes through when I'm talking with you. So thank you for joining us today. And I see John also joined us. So good to see you here, John, as well.
Hello.
And that is our show for today. So I hope that these messages or something else in our conversation today were able to bring you something positive and uplifting, supporting you and being in that flow of your own emotions. And have an amazing day. Allow this flow to support you in moving forward and continue to be in that what is this teaching me now, right? If you came into the conversation later on, I'd definitely say go back and listen to the beginning, because we were talking about, allowing ourselves to be in flow and celebrating every tiny little thing we can.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. And I absolutely love that was part of the conversation. So with that said, we'll be back again on Thursday with another Rise and Shine, Creating 2020 Vision Emotions conversation, supporting you in moving in the direction of what feels right for you and aligning with your vision. Everything is possible regardless of what's happening around you. And with that said, have an amazing day, everybody. I'll see you all again very soon. Stay right there, Kristie.